I was literally just on a podcast before this, and the person said, what advice would you give to an entrepreneur / dream chaser who is just getting started? And I said, you have to figure out what you're really good at and what you're not so good at, and magnify and multiply what you're really good at, and then try to mitigate your weaknesses. And essentially, that's what we're talking about here. Do you go with your wiring? Does that make life easier? Is that a shortcut? Are you cheating? I don't know.
No one's going to be better at being you than you. There's a big difference between, hey, I'm going to try to improve myself and change myself, versus I'm going to own all of who I am. And to Kevin's point, mitigate the weakness that comes with that, but double down on the strength.
Next Level Nation, today for episode number 2069, you gotta go with your wiring. Or do you? I don't really know. I told Alan, I said, that does not have to be the next level lesson we leave people with, is you have to go with your wiring. So we were talking about, you paint the picture for context here. Why are we doing this episode?
Well, Kev and I been working together a long time, and when we travel together, I noticed the differences between him and I. Kev has certain things that in his head he needs to get done before he can shut off. And by shut off, transition from work to R&R.
No, it's shut off. It is boop. You click the button on the back of the robot and it just goes.
When you travel with Kev, he cares about three things. One, where are we going, and are we going to be on time? Number two, what are we eating for dinner? And number three is, what is the things that I need to get done? Hold on. What was the third?
You're missing one. I think there's four, technically.
Hold on. One's being on time.
Yep.
One is what we're eating for dinner.
Yep.
For sure. And one's the gym. It's the gym.
Of course.
It's the gym, baby.
That hurt me at the ego level.
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah. No, that's true, though. That
hurts me at the ego level.
It's when I went, bring you guys behind the scenes as a podcaster or speaker, and any podcasters or speakers, you'll know this. You have a thing and you're like, this is going to be fire. And then in the middle of saying it, you forget one of them.
Oh, it's the worst.
That's what happened. I had on time, gym, what we're going to eat for dinner in my head. And I just skipped the gym completely.
The fourth one, in fairness, though, is what are the things that I have to get done so I don't feel terrible about myself.
Yep. And when we're traveling, mine are, what is the best for the mission? What is the best for the company? What is the impact we're trying to have? And what do we need to master? And then what movie are we watching while we eat? And also, what are we having for dinner? Let's be real.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, so we have a common core value in that. It's nice. And usually you'll wake up earlier and hammer out work, and I'll work later. That tends to be our wiring. Okay, so there's a quote from a bodybuilder way back in the day. His name was Greg Plitt. I used to listen to a lot of his motivational stuff. And if you want motivational videos, extremely motivating, definitely some toxic masculine, but extremely fucking motivating. Whoa. But he would say, when good enough isn't enough, you'll always have enough. And I resonate with that. I don't have good enough ever. I don't ever think anything is good enough. And I feel like that's how I'm wired. And I think that can be very detrimental if I'm not careful. But I said this on the team huddle last night. I said, we're doing a great job. We're leaders, awesome influence. We're doing better than we've ever done. And as hardcore as this is going to sound, I kind of don't give a shit about any of that, because that's not what we need to get to the next level. I care way more about the next level than I do the current one. I always have been wired that way. I care more about the future than I do about the present. The future is going to be the fucking present soon. So again, it makes...
That right there is a bumper sticker. The future is going to be the present fucking soon.
So the way that I'm wired, and I want everyone out there watching or listening to think about which end they're on, I think that's a big part of the value of Next Level University, is Kevin's perspective, my perspective, and the listener's perspective. My perspective is good enough is never enough, and it's never going to be, and that's okay, and accept that. Accept that. Number two is the future matters way more than the present. I don't care about the fucking current level. I care about the next level. More. 80-20. Kev is good enough is enough as long as I check the box and get it done.
Good enough is enough for today. That would be my internal dialogue. Good enough is enough for today.
And we also talked behind the scenes, Kev has level 10 standards in a few things.
Yeah.
I have a really hard time doing mediocre work in anything.
Well, the quote, how you do one thing is how you do everything, never resonates. I think it's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. It's like, that is dumb.
It resonates 10 out of 10. Well, always has.
Now I understand why, because you're wired that way, but it's like, you better believe if I'm out painting the deck, I'm going to do a half-assed job so I can go do something else way better. It doesn't matter. It doesn't freaking matter to me.
It hurts my self-esteem if I do a shitty job.
Understandable.
And that's really important for everyone to hear. Would it hurt your self-esteem to do a poor job? No. This comes down to how you're wired might be what you tie your self-esteem to. I deeply, deeply, deeply and sincerely tie my self-esteem to how well I do things. I tie it to effort and how well I do something. Dude, if I give Emilia a massage, it's going to be like I'm a fucking world-class masseuse.
That's fair, but I'm
never going to half-ass anything. I can't.
That's something I value. It's like, that's different. That's a different level of value. This is an example. Okay. This is for dream chasers. And this is the way I do it. I had something on my to-do list today that I had to do for a client. Mm-hmm. Okay? This is immediately where my mind goes. There is 0% chance I can get all this done today. What is the amount that I can do that I will send over to them that they will be pleasantly impressed with? Did it, sent it over, responded with, you the man with a flexi muscle. Cool. Done. Check. Done.
They responded?
Yep. They responded, you the man with a flexi muscle.
Nice.
I checked off the box and I moved to the next thing. That was calculated on how much do I need to actually move the needle, because there's no way I can do all that needs to get done today. And here's what I'll do. I'll do the same shit next week. Same exact thing. But it's on my list quick, again.
But there's never going to be a time in anyone's life where they can get everything done. There is no done. There is no finish line. This is an infinite game of life. The finish line is when we pass on.
But just for this, did you slide in a little death reference?
Mortality
yes. Reference.
And even that might not be the end. Who knows, right?
Holy shit.
I know. Okay,
nice.
But here's the deal. When you wake up in the morning, and this is Kevin and I showing both ends of the coin, there's never been a day where I wake up in the morning and think I'll go to bed having gotten everything done. There's no such thing.
I know. I understand. Okay. And I'm not saying that. It was more the fact of, that's my relationship with checking the boxes. I have to do something on this today. It probably is not going to be as much as I want to do.
Yeah.
But I go into the day looking at the list and saying, that's going to get pushed. That's going to get pushed. This has been pinging me, and I know this person is waiting on it, and I have to make some level of needle move. But it can't be as much. It's not going to be as much of a needle move as I want it to be done completely, just not reasonable. I can't.
This is 100% why I'm late. This
makes sense.
I did a post earlier. I wrote it myself. I don't want ChatGPT doing my posts for me. I want to have it come from the heart, and I want to do a good job. And the thing that Kevin and I were talking about behind the scenes is, I don't even know if I care if other people like it. Yeah. I think I need to feel like it's great work, because otherwise it's deeply unfulfilling. To me, what's the point in doing it if you're not going to pour everything you've got into it? And I know that this is not normal. It's not. And one of the things that I want to make as clear as possible, as hard as this is to share, I've always wondered why other people were so okay with mediocre work. I've always wondered that. And don't get me wrong, you can better your best. Like this episode, our worst episode today is better than our best episode for episode 100 or episode 200 or episode 1000. So you're going to better your best forever. And then Emilia says, better your bettered best. It's like, okay, I love that. But to me, it's mastery. I think it comes down to, you are wired in a way where you care about getting the things done that need to get done in order to make sure you can hit today's bar, knowing that you will eventually raise the bar tomorrow. For me, I never, ever, ever go into doing anything without trying to raise the bar then.
Yeah, that is where you and I are very different. And it's great. It works really, really well.
It does.
We have complementative wiring, I would say.
That's why you got your course done before I did. That's why you'll probably finish your book before I do. There's a strength and a weakness with both of these.
When I went back, and again, I'm not saying this to shame Alan, but it's just based on what we were talking about. When I went back and when I was interviewing you, I went all the way back to the beginning of your Instagram. You were talking about how you were going to have an audiobook out. You're like, the audiobook that I'm working on that will be dropping soon. And it's like that, it makes sense.
Yeah.
By the time for me, this is why it's so hard to put something off that's big and big and big, because by the time you get to it, it's been so long since you've made any progress that you feel like you need to do the whole thing. And it's just like, nope, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't just write a book this week. No way.
That's why I like the train thing. So once you started PGU, you do one a week.
Yeah.
Every week. And then once you can sustain that, then you up level.
Never.
So when will 2 a week happen? If ever?
I don't know. It's a great question. I don't know. I'm not sure.
And this is, if Kevin and I don't have answers for anyone, it's because this is the impossible game. You cannot ever get to a level. So for example, take how overwhelmed you and I are currently. Okay, let's say we're overwhelmed at level 10. As we improve and grow and become more capable and effective and delegate and resources and resourcefulness and skills, okay, that 10 becomes a 9. And then the 9 becomes an 8. And then the 8 becomes a 7. Dude, when I get around 7, it's like, let's fucking go to the next level. This is boring. But in the past, what happened, unfortunately, is I'd be bored and Kevin would be drowning.
Yeah, I'd be drowning. Alan's floating on his thing, sipping a non-alcoholic margarita, and I'm like, oh, yo. Like Jack, I'm trying to grab onto the door. Pull me up, Rose. Pull me up, Rose. I'm not here drowning.
You got to give Titanic reference for the younger listeners.
If you don't know, if you don't know the movie Titanic, number one, you're missing out, and number two, you're not going to understand most of the references I give, because I've seen very few movies, and that's like the best one ever.
It is the best. That's one thing you and I agree on. That was a world class.
If you have an extra 4 hours, don't do your work. Go watch Titanic. That's my next level lesson.
4 hours. If you have an extra 4 hours, you're probably not listening to this show.
I told Taryn, I said, I have homework to do tonight. She said, what's your homework? I said, Alan sent me a movie that I must watch. And she said, what do you mean? I said, he sent me a movie. He said, I must watch it. Did he say why?
The Founder.
Yeah, he said it was important, so I got to watch it.
The Founder, Ray Kroc, not a good person. I told Kevin this. I need everyone to know this. If you've seen The Founder, it's a really well done film.
Don't give any spoilers away, because I haven't seen it.
I won't.
I'm watching it tonight.
Ray Kroc, I told you this already via WhatsApp message.
Okay.
Ray Kroc's not a good person. However, so I don't condone being like, and I said this to Kev, I'm not sending you this movie so that you're like him. No. But the persistence and the tenacity and the focus and the thinking big is really quite cool. And you get to figure out how things happen at scale. And you and I, one of our biggest problem right now is, how do we scale? Mm-hmm. We don't have any more time. There's no more time. If we want to get good sleep, if we want to be healthy, in my early 30s, I realized I was aging poorly, and I was like, I have to turn this around. I can't do this. I have turned it around. I actually feel like I'm aging better now. But what we were doing for a while there was very bad for us. And I'm trying to figure out, how do we grow our impact and our company without hurting our health?
It's fair. It's fair. Well, I think you got to go with your wiring, baby. Got to go with your wiring.
Nice.
That's it. That's what I have. I don't know. I feel like this journey has been terrible. I'm waiting on you to figure it out. Very honestly, I'm waiting on you to figure it out. I don't know. Next Level Nation, what is happening? If you've thought to yourself, I want to try coaching, but you don't really know where to start, group coaching would be a wonderful place for you. That's really why we created it in the first place. We start a new round every 90 days. So if you're hearing this, go to the website, nextleveluniverse.com, and we have the landing page where you can actually hold your spot right now. Even if there's a group going on right now, you can still lock your spot for the next one. The biggest thing that we've seen is, as we get closer and closer to the date, unfortunately, some people end up missing. The group fills up and they can't do it, and then they end up regretting that. So please head over to the website. The link will be in the show notes, and we would love to see you there.
What is your wiring?
What is my wiring?
In hindsight.
Do the thing with the most optimal amount of energy possible. Like, let's be really freaking smart about how we do this.
Nice.
No, I'm not saying I avoid hard work. There's always been things like if you have a bunch of stuff to move, there is an optimal way to do it. For some reason, I have always kind of known. It's like, no, we stage it in one place and then we bring it all to another place and stage it, and then we rest and then we do the same thing over and over. I feel like that's probably the most optimal way. Could we just carry it the whole way? Yeah, but I don't think it makes as much sense. Let's do it with hard work, but let's maximize the amount of effort we can get out of the hard work. I think that's the way I've kind of always been.
I don't know if I understand how to articulate this, but when I was in the gym not long ago, I talked about this on a previous episode. I have this moment of, don't make it easier. Make this harder. Make this so hard until you're risking injury. And then once you're risking injury, step back. So I did deadlifts today. And I got to a certain point where it was, no. Nope. Don't go any further than this. You're gonna regret this. And I did. I had to take my tenacity down a second and just, okay, let's transition. You don't have to prove anything to yourself or others. It's really prove to self, ultimately. And I think eventually when you get older, you realize that you don't have anything to prove to others because you're already beyond what they thought you'd do. That's one thing that's been interesting is we're in our 30s now. I mean, we've already gone beyond where people thought we'd get. So there's no more prove to others for me. I think that's kind of gone.
I have that to a degree.
I have a little bit of it, I think. I have a little bit of the best revenge is ridiculous success or something like that. I have a little bit of that chip on my shoulder, a little bit. But it's much less that than it used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's much more, okay, Alan, no one cares how much you deadlift. No one gives a shit if you're in shape. Seriously. If anything, they're like, can you slow down, man? Goddamn. So I have to push me because no one else is going to push me. Emilia cares, but other than that. And I think the leader is the person with the highest standards for self. So I realize, okay, no one's going to ever push me again. Like, honestly, I don't feel like that's going to happen for me anymore. That's over. So I have to be the one to find that line. When you said that I do the optimal amount of effort for the optimal result, that is working smart by definition. I'm not making that wrong. I think that I'm on the extreme end of make it harder on purpose so that I get better. This is what I don't understand mathematically. Where are you optimal and where am I optimal? Because with painting the deck, unless you want to be a really good deck painter, there's no point in you trying to master painting.
Yeah.
The only point at that point is it's more meaningful and fulfilling for me to do a good job. I like doing a good job when I do things. It feels good. I think it gives you a sense of self-esteem when you do things well. So when I do the kitty litter, for example, I'm telling you, kitty litter master. I mean, there's not a spot. And Emilia's like, don't take so much time. Listen, I'm learning. I want to do a good job. I want my cats to have pristine kitty litter. I do. It is what it is. That's how I'm wired. Now, I'm not taking 3 hours to do that, right?
You're there with like tweezers, like, yeah, no, that's a dark one. Oh, let me get that. Nope.
You know, no, that's kitty litter. That's not a dump. That is funny. But that's why I have to be careful about what I do. And for anyone out there watching or listening, where do you fall on this? On one end, it's check the box. Doesn't really matter how well you do it. On the far end, it's I am trying to up the ante every rep I do. Every workout I do, I try to have it be better than the last workout. And where do you fall on that? And what are the implications of that? Because on Kevin's end, you're basically not going to get as good at things because you're purposely you're making moving easier. Mm-hmm. That's going to hurt your long-term growth and development, whether you know it or not.
What if I don't want to get better at that though? Hold on. Let me throw this scenario out there. Mm-hmm. While you're spending an extra 4 hours painting the deck, I'm out on 4 hours of podcasts. Exactly. And the deck blows. 100%. My deck, it sucks. It's not great. The 100%. Painting is not great. I think that's, if it's meaningful and it matters, that's different than like, I'm not going to remember this.
This is good. Yeah. I have had to purposely decide in advance to not do a good job on the deck to make sure I go back to my things, coaching, training, and podcasting. You are going to have to dial up the intensity of getting better in your things, because that's not naturally how you do everything.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Yes.
that was a good. What's your next level lesson, sir?
That's the wiring. What's my next level lesson? Use use the unique strengths that you have, because there is something that you are just way better at naturally than I am, and way better at than Alan is naturally. And if you can lean into that and leverage that, I wouldn't say it's a blanket statement. You always go with your wiring, because that's not true. But go with the positive parts of your wiring, and then figure out what the negative parts are, and then try to make those more positive. That would be my next level.
Yeah, well said, for sure. Knowing how you're wired, and sometimes you have to stray in order to figure that out, and then working with that is critical. If you're naturally relatable, that's great. If you're naturally intense, that's also great. I think we're scared to dial up the parts of us that are unique because we don't belong. It's very... Even on this podcast right now, I'm dialing down my intensity. I'm so much more intense than this in real life. And I asked Kev, I said, am I more or less intense than this other speaker? And he said, by far more. And I was like, are you kidding me? I don't feel like I'm intense at all. If anything, I feel like this is 1/10 of what I want to put into this microphone. But I got to channel my intensity. And so I'm intense, I'm long-term thinker, I'm all the things that I love about me are the scariest socially. And I think that might be true for other people too. Or maybe all the things you love about you are scary when it comes to success, because if you lean into them, you know that you won't achieve a lot. Like if you're not a natural achiever, I think there's some people that are natural achievers and they dial down constantly to try to fit in. And then I think there's other people who do fit in naturally, and then they are constantly trying to dial up to be an achiever, when in reality, there's a way to succeed by leaning into who and what you are.
It's challenging, and we'll hop right after this because I know you got to go. It depends on who you're trying to fit in with. I was on with a very high-level business owner. I had a call with him yesterday, and we were like two peas in a pod. 5 years ago, I don't think I would have been enough to be on the call with him. So now
we got time. Go ahead. Go into that.
I mean, I wasn't really a business owner. I was, but I didn't understand. I didn't understand people where I was like, oh, this guy's a super high achiever. I can give him shit all day. He wants me to call him out. Like, he is going to be so excited that I call him out. That's not my wiring. My wiring is not naturally to like give someone a little kick in the ass. That's not the way I'm naturally wired. So it just allowed me to see him and say, okay, he's the type of person that probably would appreciate boom, 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 boom. Let me do that. 5 years ago, I didn't.
Specific?
Well, so it was a podcast breakthrough session, free podcast breakthrough session. We got to the end and he's like, what's this about, man? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, so I just ride off into the sunset and I never hear from you again. And I said, in an ideal world, yeah, you'd take everything we talked about and ran with it and you'd be successful. That would work. And he's like, no, seriously. And I said, do you want me to sell you something? Is that what you're asking? And he's like, yeah, I want to talk to me about it. And I said, dude, honestly, between you and I, like, you need to stop letting AI produce your podcast. Like, you're way better than that. And you need to change the name. When I researched your show, I said, you're selling yourself so freaking short, man. You are an incredible human. Your podcast is cartoony. Like, we got some stuff that we can do. And he's like, yeah, man, you're right. But that's not natural to me. That is not the way I'm wired. So that's muscle.
That's what helping him is.
I'm now understanding that a different version, same Kevin, but different version of Kev can show up to help different versions of different people.
Yeah, you challenged him.
Yes.
I have one client. I know we got to jump, but I have one client. He got off. I coached him and his wife. Shout out to you. I know you're listening. He said he went to his wife afterwards. He's like, I've never had anyone talk to me like that. That was awesome. I said, dude, with all the love, everyone is so impressed with you. I'm not. I know how smart you are. You're a freaking semi-genius. What are we doing here? The truth is, congratulations for level 7 when you're a level 10 human. What are we doing here? Some people need a kick in the fucking ass, man. Seriously.
It's true. I know.
Like, you can't just be soft natural all the time.
But some people need a shoulder. You're not wired I'm wired to give someone the shoulder. You're not.
I can give the shoulder too. I can. But it's just not my natural.
Yeah, that's not your natural.
My natural is, I'm not impressed. We got more in you. I believe in this person it's like, dude, you got, like, what are we doing? Are we on the fence here? Let's go. What's the next project? Come on. Congratulations. Whoop-de-doo, Basil. I don't care. Like, what are we doing now, right? And I said this to him too. I said, dude, everyone else is impressed with you already. They're not going to push you. They can't give away what they don't have. They don't know you're playing at level 6. They think you're playing at level 12. And so it takes, I'm grateful that you're leaning into that part of you, because you need both. If Emilia's vulnerable, she's having a hard time, and she's dealing with stuff behind the scenes, like, I have to be there for her. I can't be like, get your fucking shit together. That's not conducive. However, there's some times when we're in the gym where it's like, come on, you got this. Like, and she needs both, and you need to know how to deploy each one. It's called strength and warmth. Sometimes I'm really warm, and I'm there for you and empathetic, and then other times I can really bring out my Spartan. And sometimes you need a Spartan. And I coach a lot of people, so some people need warmth and some people need strength, and some people need different variations of each, and it depends on their current state as well. But I'm grateful that you have that you can deploy, because you do it with me all the fucking time behind the scenes.
Well, I know you love it. So it's different with you.
I think there's other people that love it too.
Well, I know, but now I recognize it took me a while to recognize that is what worked best for you. And now I know that's a tool. Like, I think that's a good way to put it, is that's a tool that I can now deploy when needed, right? When needed. All right, cool. All right, Next Level Nation, if you want to be more consistent with your daily journaling, we have the Next Level Dreamliner. It's on Amazon. We'll have the link in the show notes. It's world class. I have not been doing it because I suck, but if there was a journal, and I'm going to start doing it again, this is the one to start with because it's actually sustainable. Alan and I are super busy, and honestly, it just hasn't been a priority. But if I say I don't have time to do it, that is a dumbass excuse, because it literally takes 5 minutes a day. So it's definitely worth the investment, and it'll help you be a consistent journaler.
Achieve your dreams 90 days at a time. Next Level Dreamliner. This is a book called Reset by Dan Heath. We do book club. We've read 20 books. So if you're having trouble staying accountable to reading, if for no other reason, come join us in book club. We have a private WhatsApp group. You can register. The link will be in the show notes. You put in your name, first name, last name, and email. You register, join us, and as soon as you join us, you'll get an invite to the private WhatsApp group. We are all holding each other accountable to reading at least one chapter per week. This helps me stay consistent in reading too. So Reset by Dan Heath. It is a brainstorming session, next level books with next level people. And there's conversations in there that help me think about things I've never thought about before. And it's one of those very rare, private, non-recorded places where you can really talk about real shit that you're going through that you can't talk about publicly. Or maybe you can, but you don't want to.
All right. Right on. All right. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Keep it next level. Next Level Nation.